This is a podcast from the Angel News Network with author Joel Anastasi interviewing Ascended Master Saint Germain as channeled by Phillip Elton Collins.
Greetings. I am known to you as Saint Germain. I was one of the many founding fathers in the creation of the United States of America. And at this time, I am here to assist that the promises of our intentions can be fulfilled on this Father's Day. This is about the refounding of America. As the USA continues to grow through its apparently necessary growth, expansion, and clearing and cleansing process, let us review cause as it relates to effect. See if this message gives you, dear ones, a regained perspective on current events and why they are happening. Remember, we of the higher realms have given the United States and the world many tools to use. If you so choose to maintain and sustain your democracy, let us talk about what is preventing the application of what has been taught. As an essential aspect of being inner wounded, non-healed humans, and due humanity's separation from the higher realms and thinking you could do it a better way, for eons, humans have been learning what is through what is not, through duality and separation, often leading to confrontation. The truth is, dear ones, the truth being, dear ones, 1/3 of you would kill 1/3 while 1/3 watched. Let me repeat this. The truth being 1/3 of you would kill 1/3 while 1/3 watched. Through the ascension process of the planet, moving into a higher frequency of existence, humanity is beginning to evolve beyond emotional, mental, and physical components of the third dimension of which you currently reside. Again, what you see in your nation and the world at large is a necessary clearing and cleansing in order for you to evolve. Things may look worse, but in your vernacular, it is darkest before the dawn. And in cosmic terms, dear ones, it's all perfect as to how you have chosen to learn. It's hard to know there is no right, no wrong. It all reflects the choices you have made through your free will. Perhaps you're beginning to realize you've had enough of polarity, me consciousness, and are ready to commit to building communities of equality, harmony, and balance through we consciousness by connecting to we, the fifth dimensional energies, once again coming into your earth plane, which actually sustain your existence. Your religions have attempted to explain all this through their way and largely failed by factoring ego control into their dogma. Here is a simple explanation of how this works, dear one. By balancing human energies with the higher energies, in fact, moving from dense carbon to light from which you came, humanity can finally create the final golden age of your home planet. This is also called the age of cosmic consciousness come true, that you do not have to ever lose again. Then the third dimension can become a loving memory in the creation of a new nation and a new earth, and many of you already, aren't you, dear ones? Here's how it all can happen. It is your destiny of your nation, planet, and humanity to move from me consciousness to a we consciousness. Let me fully explain the two forms of consciousness, and through your discernment and freedom of will and choice, decide what resonates and discerns for you, dear ones, the old or the new nation and the new world. Let's talk a little bit about me consciousness. You have heard many of these teachings before, but apparently you need to hear and apply them again in order to master them. Me consciousness is a way of feeling and thinking that you are individuals who are only responsible for your own achievements. There is little true intimacy or compassion for your fellow man. Your present government reflects this. There is little connection to higher realms from which you came, who love and support you always. The ways and means to support your human reality through me consciousness are the following. Number one, materialism. Number two, power and control, the few controlling the many. Accumulation of money, wealth. It is time, if you so choose, to get your corporate greed and money out of your elections. And fourth, imbalanced focus with the ego self, dear ones. Time to infuse more of we the people, by the people, for the people, into all matters. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? The mental body housing the ego in me consciousness is powered by fear, narcissism, arrogance, doubt, ignorance, resentment, rage, and lack of love. Many of your leaders reflect these and apply them to control the citizens. Most truth is hidden, and knowledge and wisdom through me consciousness. We placed for validation and profit, often through deceit and denial of deceit. Check your social media and some of your propaganda supposed news outlets. Now let's chat a little bit about we consciousness. Through applied knowledge, wisdom, it is understood that you are all connected and integrated, and we are here to support and love one another and creating communities of equality, harmony, and balance. Where is this happening in your world right now, dear ones? Why is war and killing one another still acceptable behavior? There's a constant readiness through we consciousness and commitment to support the purpose of each of you being here, what would be called soul plans, through a balance of giving and receiving, and the balance of the masculine and feminine energies. This is an innate knowing. There is a limited supply of all for everyone. Why does 1% control 99%? Truth reigns supreme in we consciousness, and it is so lacking in your nation today. All information, all communication is transparent. You all know the same thing at the same time. Can you imagine what a game changer this would be in your world, dear ones? Heartfelt intentions fill your nation and world, not just ego satisfaction. You're learning to think with your knowing, loving hearts, not just your minds. What is so currently missing the sacred journey of each of you, that it is recognized, honored, and valued as an essential aspect of the whole of humanity. I shall repeat that. What is currently missing is the sacred journey of each of you, that it's recognized, honored, and valued as an essential aspect of the whole of humanity. Imagine that love is known and seen and applied as the powerhouse of all reality. Remember, dear ones, it is the building block of all creation. Of course, most of all, still listening to the healed inner wounds and the ego defenses, allowing unconditional love supporting one another's highest good. So in conclusion, again, these teachings we have taught many times through many frequencies through the higher realms. These are the Founding Fathers' papers also which contain them. If you go through them, you will see the analogies. The foundation of the creation of the United States of America to be a beacon of light to the world. But this cannot and will not happen without the application of these wisdoms. Please know there are many souls coming into the earth plane, many already here, to create the necessary shift into equality, harmony, and balance. It will no longer be necessary to destroy what is, but to create a new parallel path for your new nation and your new world. The question is, are you ready to apply the wisdoms here and create the intended nation, the new world paradigm we set out? You are currently experiencing the lack of responsibilities and the consequences of each of your choices. I'm once again giving you the formula to maintain and sustain your nation and your world as intended. When America declared war on the crown in 1776, some loyalists did not support the people. They supported the monarchy. There are still fascists and monarchists amongst you, dear ones. Through a legacy of lies, you are currently being gaslighted by most of the branches of your present government, by wounded individuals whose motives are greed and control. If you choose with the power of healed people, by the people, for the people, you can achieve a positive change. Remember, your wounded leaders reflect your wounded citizens. The leaders are a byproduct of the citizens. As you have been taught, the way to heal all of this is through the relationship with self. I released the cosmic violet flame to the nation and the world long ago, dear ones. It allows mercy, forgiveness, freedom, and transmutation. Please apply it now if it resonates. Yesterday, dear ones, millions of you reasserted the we and we consciousness through your gatherings. We the people. Power to the people, dear ones. Finally, if all else fails, don't get addicted to being human. It is only temporary. How may we help you further, dear ones?
Saint Germain, thank you for that beautiful introduction. You covered it all, didn't you?
Indeed.
Yes, yesterday, millions of us did reassert the we. It was thrilling to see. I think there were over 2,000 demonstrations that represented millions of citizens who were saying, no kings, no kings.
Yes, a large percentage of your population gathered through the we consciousness.
Well, you know, you have...
Perhaps
go on.
1/3 gathered.
Well, it takes courage to do this. You know, Americans aren't used to demonstrating, and I heard an analysis, and it says that courage is catching. And I think as more people become comfortable with the idea of going out and physically demonstrating, those demonstrations are only going to increase.
Let it be a virus that you all connect with one another, that you all catch this virus of gathering we consciousness.
Well, you've told us that the United States had not been fulfilling its mission to bring we consciousness to the world, that its citizens weren't even supporting its democracy. More than half the population didn't even vote. And you said that one of Trump's missions was to threaten democracy, to rekindle the original energy that prompted the founding fathers and mothers to establish our country in the first place. And you, in our last conversation, you said that he was fulfilling his mission perfectly.
I think you're beginning to see it is all perfect, that he is serving a function of awakening the we consciousness, awakening the principles of the United States and other governments of democracy by having these being threatened to be taken away from you. So he's actually divinely serving that purpose.
Even if he's not aware of it.
If he's not aware of it. But his soul is aware of it.
Yeah. I saw a headline that reaffirmed what you were saying about rekindling the energy of the founding fathers. The headline was, "No Kings, No Trump, Tom Paine's spirit returns today." I thought it was wonderful because it was really a headline trumpeting what you've been saying.
Yes, a lot of wisdom was disseminated to the founding fathers from the higher realms, which has been largely unknown or negated.
Well, you mentioned that we were moving into the age of cosmic consciousness, which I think you sort of defined as moving from the me to the we. Would that be correct?
Exactly, yes. And these energies are going to stay. They're not coming in and leaving. And they are maintaining who you really are having these energies coming in and stay. So that allows you to apply them more often. In the past, they often came in and then left. But at this time, they are staying here for the benefit of humanity.
In the past, you have said that a key factor in this shift from me to we is the balancing of the masculine and the feminine energies and the force of the youth of higher consciousness that were being born into the earth plane. Would you develop that a little bit today?
It's the foundation of all of your separation. It's the foundation of your bias. It's the foundation of not only the fight of the genders, but of races, of religions. That has been the foundation of all of your separation, the inequality of the masculine and the feminine, beyond a gender definition, beyond a sexual definition, beyond even a definition of male and female, that these two forces come in and balance one another. And when in balance, they create perfectly.
The No Kings movement was inspired by the feminine energies, I read.
It was, dear one.
Something that's confused me a little bit is you've talked many times about the youth would also be a force here to move into we consciousness. In the past election, I've read a lot that a lot of young people, especially young men, especially of the minorities, shifted to Trump, which was sort of counter what my expectation was about the youth moving to be more we consciousness. What's your perspective on that?
That is largely through ignorance of not really understanding the individual they were supporting or the structure of the United States. It's based upon the relationship with self, that they see if someone is flawed as that individual, can be who they are, then it makes them feel better about themselves. That is one component. The second component, which is equally as important, are the super wealthy who are looking to maintain and sustain that wealth and realize that this individual, the one you call Trump, would support them holding on and expanding their wealth. So it's a combination of those two elements, and there are times that they actually interplay together.
You alluded to the fact that, of course, the breathtaking inequality that has emerged, especially since the beginning of this century. There's always been vast inequality, of course, but you alluded in your introduction to the 1% controlling the 99%. It seems to be worse than ever, which is a little daunting when we think of moving into a new era of we consciousness, because that concentration of wealth and power certainly is a force against the movement into we consciousness.
It's only increased because the population has increased, but also as a matter of the information is becoming more readily available than it has been in the past. There has always been that equality on this particular planet. It's more prevalent now because there are more people, and that the information about the inequality is disseminated more often. Does that make sense to you, dear one?
Yes, it does. I'm reading a book called Sapiens, which is the secondary title is A Brief History of Humanity, and it's pretty staggering how it's only been in the last couple of 100 years where there has been less inequality. It's difficult for modern people today to realize how limited the power and control of the average citizen has been throughout human history, at least as human history as we know it.
It's actually the best it's ever been at the present moment, dear one. You've heard that before.
Well, that's a good perspective.
The inequality was more in the past, but there were fewer people. So if you look at it exponentially, you can see there appears to be more, but the ratio and the basis of it is the same as it's always been. But there's actually more equality or attempted equality presently, particularly in the United States of America, than there's ever been before within the history of humanity, dear one.
I wanted to bring up a perspective that I've just gotten the last couple of days. This book that I've referred to, I'll even mention the title. The name of it is *Sapiens*. It's brilliantly written, and it's based on a lot of research that is familiar about what they are able to understand about past generations of the last 70,000 years. And as clever and as witty as it seems to be devoid of life because it is totally missing any spiritual perspective whatsoever or any meaning about what human life is really all about. And I think it simply reflects the fact that our culture really doesn't understand that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And that makes all the difference. If you don't understand that, you don't really understand what humanity is all about.
Well, remember, dear ones, how I ended this message. If all else fails, don't get addicted to being human. It's only temporary. There is so much information that is being missed about who you are and where you came from and how mankind was developed on the planet and the influences of extraterrestrial beings and advanced civilizations. All of that's beginning to be revealed. But most of your history is false or forgotten. And certainly the foundation of where you came from, unseen spirit into dense matter, and the exact evolution of how that happened on this particular planet has been withheld, largely through the churches and then through the governments themselves in order to maintain control. That is beginning to shift as the information is becoming more prevalent and being disseminated, dear one.
Saint Germain, I know it's complex, but I thought it would help new people listening to this podcast if they really understood that Earth had a mission, the United States had a mission, so that they can really understand why it is so important that we, the citizens of the United States, help the United States fulfill its mission to bring we consciousness to the world.
Actually, it's not complicated at all. Humanity has made it so. As you remember, 12 star systems came together to create what now is planet Earth, bringing the most highest elevated intention of each of those 12 systems. They all reflected the basic building block of our creation and the universe, which is love. And you've heard this many times before. The planet Earth is a loviversity. It is a university of learning to be love, to do love, in all facts of life. That is the purpose of this particular planet. And to do that through something called the relationship with self, self-reflecting all there is, knowing that the foundation of all there is love. Does that help you, dear one?
And the United States was founded to help Earth fulfill that mission of bringing us all together.
By we the people, by the people, for the people, through their healed relationship with self. Yes. And the Founding Father papers were all inspired by we of the higher realms in order to do that, to look at the whole history of humanity and all of the kingships, all of the governments, all of the religions that had come before, and what would be a plan to work through that and beyond it, with love being the foundation of all of it. And that love is reflected in equality, harmony, and balance, dear one.
And so what we're observing right now in America with what we were talking about with the No Kings movement was to restore America's commitment to its mission to bring us all together in we consciousness to fulfill the mission of Earth.
To get you back on the intended path.
Right.
But you can only do that through your free will and choice. We cannot force it another direction. Yeah. You have to learn through your own processes. And you will keep returning to this planet until you get it right as a foundation of love. Yes, dear one.
And what we experienced yesterday with the No Kings movement and the blowback to what Trump is doing and what I will call a fascist effort to shut down we the people, to make the leader, the king, the emperor, the leader, back to we the people.
And how did that make you feel, dear one? What was the emotion when you saw your fellow men and women gather and power themselves, the power of we the people? What did that feel like?
It was a thrilling, joyful moment for me.
Exactly. And what is the basis of that joy and thrilling? It is love, dear one.
Right.
Love of self reflected out to other, allowing self to love another. Seeing the oneness, seeing that you are all diversified versions from the same source, seeing that you are each other in disguise. That is love, dear one.
Well, in future conversations, Saint Germain, we will keep tabs of what's going on here and how what we saw yesterday continues to evolve and grow to bring us all together in a mission of oneness.
Affirming the growth and expansion of what began yesterday. It is synchronistic that we are discussing this on your Father's Day, that we of the higher realms have been a fatherhood, a fathership, if you will, in assisting in the creation and the maintaining and the sustaining of your democracy by reminding you. Largely, many things are currently happening in your nation as a result of ignorance, of people not understanding these papers, or not understanding civics, or not understanding how government works. They're voting for a celebrity TV star. They're voting for someone who they see as wounded, even perhaps more wounded than themselves, and feeling better about themselves as a result of that, instead of realizing the responsibility of leadership requires a healed, compassionate relationship with self.
Thank you, Saint Germain. We will continue this conversation.
You're welcome, dear one.